Greetings to one and all, it's your old buddy Jay here, coming at you with another Countermeasures game changer. Now, it's been just a little over a week since I did my last one, sort of slacking off a bit at the moment. I've got quite a lot of work on, which is always good, but I haven't forgotten you, so I thought I would come back with a bang with a new game that came out. Well, I say new, it's been out for a short amount of time. It came out earlier this year. It is a game called It Takes Two. Now, this is an action-adventure platformer. It was developed by Hazelight Studios and published by Electronic Arts under the EA Originals label. This game came out on Windows, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and Series S. And yes, like I said, it came out early this year, and that was March. Now, this game was developed by Hazelight Studios, as I just mentioned, and basically they are a studio that came out with a game earlier, previously in previous years, called A Way Out. Now, that game was basically a co-op game where you could only play the game if you played with someone else in the game with you, which isn't usually how I like to play games. I like to do the single storyline by myself. Usually, if it's a co-op game online, the sort of multiplayer game online, that's fine too. Very rarely do I play games where you're actually limited to playing with two people, and if you don't have two people, then you cannot play. So that tends to be an instant turn off for me. Now, I did buy A Way Out, which was a game about breaking out of prison, and I've never ever played it because I never got to the point where I had a moment to play it where I could then invest time with someone else on that sort of personal level. I just could never find someone else that had the time to play it when I did. I play at very strange times due to my job, usually very late at night, or just at completely random times that don't fit other people's schedules necessarily. So playing A Way Out was incredibly difficult. So when that came out, I just kind of I've benched it. I haven't even looked at it, although it does look really, really good and interesting, and I know that it's had some really good reviews. I know IGN particularly liked it, and I was looking forward to jumping into it, but never quite got to it, and then other things came out that were infinitely better, and I haven't gone back to it. That said, It Takes Two is Hazelight's next sort of stab at a two-player game. Again, you cannot play this as a single player. You have to play it as a dual player, but the difference this time is that I now have a 6-year-old boy. Now, he may not necessarily want to play a game about breaking out of prison, but he does want to play a platform game where you're basically two people, two little borrowers essentially, navigating these different environments and running up giant toolkits or jumping on big flowers, that kind of thing. So together we've actually had a lot of fun playing this game, and I would definitely recommend it. Now, to just go back to what this game is all about. So the plot of this game is that a husband and wife are getting a divorce. So already it doesn't really sound like the most child-friendly part of the story. So when that part comes on, I tend to just sort of like talk over the narrative while my little boy is sitting with me, because he's not ready to embrace any of that serious business of life yet. I'm not sure I'm ready for the question, so about what it is. So it gives this a slightly dark sort of side to it, this game, but actually it's a very positive game. It's all about a young girl who wants her parents to stay together, so she has these two little dolls, and she imagines that her parents might become these dolls, and then you do become the husband and wife as these little characters, as you can see here. And the gameplay itself just goes through these different locations, these different scenarios, where you are faced with trying to unlock doors and solve puzzles, and basically trying to get yourself out of these situations to essentially get back to being a human being. And as the plot continues, I'm not going to do any spoilers because I actually haven't completed this game yet, but as the game continues on, obviously you start to build up a stronger relationship with your partner. Ergo, I'm guessing they don't get divorced in the end because they've been on a journey together. So I'm not really mad keen about that part of it. I do really, really like the gameplay of this. So there are things that your partner has to do while in order to it might be a section where you're trapped behind some doors, but your partner's in an area where he can press buttons to open that up, or like in this bit here, you've got to shoot your partner through a vacuum tube in order to get to the next sections and things like that. And this game's just incredibly creative. I just love the art direction. The director is a chap called Joseph Fares, and he along with his many team artists such as Klaus Engel, I've got written here, and the writers Sonny Jorgensen and Joseph Fares. So yeah, those guys they've done a really cracking job with making this a very interactive and fun experience. So it's nothing new, it's not a new premise. It's Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Wouldn't it be funny if strange, and what adventures we could have if we were shrunk down into little people and we were suddenly put in this sort of normal environment. And that is a lot of fun, and there have been games in the past that have attempted to do it and it's been fine. I think this might be one of the first games that I've played where they've really cracked it. No two sections of this game are the same. There's parts like here where you've got to really use your imagination on how to solve these problems. Now you only want, like here I'm pushing the door open, only one person can get through, so then my boy goes around the other side and he's trying to work out how to move the vacuum in order to stop the fan and all that kind of stuff. And then that vacuum isn't just used for that one part, it's used for another part when you're kind of then traveling through different sections of the game. It's just a really creative use of the environment. And if you've listened to any of my reviews before, and if you anything about the kind of thing games that I like, and the kind of the design of these things, and the environment is a huge player in all of these games. I mean, like, the characters, fine, they can have their backstories, you can talk to them about talk about the way they look and the design of those, but the environment itself is a massive character. And in this game, the environment is, I would say, the main character. I just think that it's absolutely beautiful, and the art direction, the design of it, I like the simplicity of it. I like the 3D platform nature of it. Split screen always annoys me, but if for some reason in this game it doesn't, it just all comes together really well. This action adventure platformer has sort of taken me by surprise, actually, because I expected it to be okay, but I have actually loved playing it, partly to do with my son sort of getting older now, and he's starting to embrace games embrace sort of video games as well. So sharing those experiences are invaluable, and I've been enjoying doing that. But aside from that, I think if there was an opportunity to play this as a single player, I think you'd also benefit a lot from it, because, like I said, the environments are so strong. The ideas behind how to navigate those environments are just really creative. There's parts in this game later where you one of you has a hammer and the other has a nail, and one person can throw nails into the wall for you to swing on with your hammer, and and it's just really creatively done. And doesn't consistently stay like that. Just when you think you're getting used to how that mechanic works, it changes it up again and gives you something different, puts you in a different environment. And I just really like the way that it's done. I like the colors, I like the color palette, I like the the kind of muted art style. There's something quite nice about this kind of cartoony art style that sort of grabs me in a way it's not too ugly. Sometimes these sort of animations and drawing styles can be quite ugly, and then they're kind of animated in an awkward way, and that kind of instantly puts me off. But with these, it kind of feels a little bit tangible. It feels like the textures feel real. I'm running around on wood here, the texture, it feels like you're running on wood. The sound of the feet tapping on the wood, and it's just, they've absolutely nailed it. And that's not to say a lot of other games haven't, but for a game that's as simple and as basic as this, and as the creative thinking that goes behind it, you'd think that there would be something dropped in terms of the attention to detail of the mechanics of the game, but that's not to be said. I mean, it's just absolutely brilliant, spot on. So yeah, I do really like this game. I would recommend that you try it if you can find one other person to play it with. There is a really cool gimmick in this game. Well, I say gimmick, it's usually these games, tend to be like cash grabs when it comes to playing in sort of, forced co-op. It's usually like, well, if you haven't bought the game, then someone else can play with you. But on this occasion, if one person has bought the game, you can then invite someone else to play with you without them having purchased it already. So I played this on the PS5, of course, and it was we just did split screen co-op. But when you're play with someone who's on your friends list and who's one of your connections, you can just invite them to play, and they don't have to purchase any game in order to do so. So in that respect, I think they've done a really good job with respecting the financial side of things. These games can get expensive, and especially if you're just going to drop in and drop out occasionally, you're not necessarily going to be always playing together. And if there's a necessity to get to that point, then I feel like sometimes that can let it down, but in this case it doesn't. So for that reason and many other reasons, I have to absolutely recommend this. It is a 9 out of 10. There's no doubt about it. It's definitely worth your time and worth your effort, so I would recommend that you go for it and check it out. But that's about it. So until then, be good, stay safe, and be kind to one another. Cheers.